part of Locked On Sports Atlanta on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
To the Hawks POSTCAST, your home for the best Atlanta Hawks talk. It's quick hitting local insight after every game you can't get anywhere but right here at Locked On. I'm your host, Tenitra Batiste. Alongside me is NBA and college basketball analyst DeShaun Tate. The Hawks POSTCAST is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. So I know we said it before, but DeShaun, if it's up to us, we can run it back again. Another road game, another road win for these Atlanta Hawks. And we'll talk about how this one almost got out of hand, but how the Hawks were able to reset. And we'll give you our takes on this 132-122 win over the Utah Jazz on a back-to-back that has given the Hawks now their 5th road win and 8th win overall this season. And for you, DeShaun, someone who's pretty darn verbose, you said the offense kept you speechless.
It did. I was like, yo, what are we? Who is this? Like, again, I mentioned something to you on, what was it, last night? By the way, don't forget, I have to remind the people that this is the second end of a back-to-back. But I mentioned it to you, I think, last night, where I'm like, they're starting to look kind of uncharacteristic. And it's almost like scary, where I'm like splashing water on my face, trying to figure out, am I really like dreaming here, or am I really awake? And I know some people are just going to yawn and say, oh, well, it's the Utah Jazz, but not about what they did on tonight, but about how they went about doing it. So many career, statistics and career highs. And you got Onyeka Okongwu converting on 8 3-pointers and just things that I just can't imagine all these things happening in the same night. I mean, for crying out loud, before all of these things really started to kind of unravel and transpire before our eyes, I'm watching beat Krejci for his second out of like 3 games look like he can't miss a shot on purpose. Yes. For crying out loud. Then all of a sudden Jalen Johnson is doing things, and then, it's just coming from all different ways. And so, listen, let's just wake it up right now. We can toss the statistics and box scores and everything else out of the window. You got to give some respect. And I'll always forever be the first person to need you to stand up and put my hand up and say, this is where there has to be some level of respect. We keep talking about doing it without a star. We keep talking about doing it without key reserves. We keep talking about next man up and people doing this for their first 15 games and, second year in a Hawks uniform, doing all of these things. Give credit to the coaching staff as well, being Quinn Snyder. Forgive me for getting a little bit long-winded, but I think it's just a matter of the efficiency that is the name of the game that we keep talking about. Shooting from the field, shooting from 3 is improving, and just, I think 18 steals on tonight, and just continue to just getting out in transition and running the hell out of the opposition, and really still, even without KP, a 7'3", 7'4", finally have a center, throwing the ball in the paint and able to outscore the opposition in the painted area. I think you just have to love them, hate them, anything in between. You got to give kudos to the Hawks right now.
Yeah, there were so many nuggets that you said there, DeShaun, that I almost wanted to take notes and kind of run it back step by step by step. But I think you talked about one of the big factors, and that's that you don't have your big tonight. Kristaps Porzingis out on rest, and the Hawks didn't miss a beat. That's the kind of conversation we want to have when a guy deservedly gets the rest that he has, or when someone like Trae Young is out for the foreseeable future due to injury. You want to be able to say, okay, we obviously missed a little bit of a beat because, hey, Asa Newell is new to the league, and you're putting Nickeil Alexander-Walker in with starter minutes, if you will. But what you're looking for is a quality, holistic performance that doesn't drop off, because everybody understands that if you're in for that person, yes, you have to pick up the pace, but the rest of us do as well. And I think what was impressive about this, and just kind of bringing in some of our everydayers, it's like, Rob, what's happening? Rob said, give JJ and Double O their flowers. But I think even that hygienist, I love what you said. I didn't doubt at any moment that we were going to win. That tells you so much about where this Hawks team is and what they're building, because now I will say I got nervous slightly, But that was really just because in that third quarter, I was just wondering if their legs were getting a little bit heavy. It wasn't because I didn't believe that the Hawks had the ability to come back and the mental fortitude to do it. I was just wondering if their bodies would give out, but give Quinn Snyder so much credit for just being able to look at his rotation and say, hey, I have enough guys to be able to put in that third quarter and for the remainder of this game, so that if I go with a 10-man rotation, they'll give me exactly what I need. And they did. And I think that's why, for me, when I kind of look at it, my take was what a winning mindset looks like. Because again, I go back to the third quarter, that even a year ago, we were talking about it as the pesky third quarter. It was always one where we said, man, if the Hawks got in that third quarter, it's the entire game, right? And their numbers dropped tremendously from like 51% from the field, 51% from three in that third quarter, down to just 35% from the field, 36% from three. They only scored 23 points. But for them to be able to have the presence of mind that says, okay, settle down, they were able to tie this game back up at the end of the third quarter and say, okay, give us the fourth quarter. We'll reset ourselves and we'll get right back. Yes, you can look at the numbers, DeShaun, in the fourth quarter and say that the Hawks got back into that 50% space, 53% from the field, 50% from three, scored 29 points. But I don't think, and you alluded to it, I don't think that the win is just in the box score. I think it's the mindset that told you we will be just fine. It's in the mindset that said anybody can score in this particular quarter, because even when I look at the fourth quarter, Onyeka Okongwu owned the quarter at both ends of the court. So 13 points and 4 rebounds in that particular quarter. And we're talking about Double O also had a nice third quarter, by the way, with 8 points, 5 points in the second quarter, and 3 points in the first. Why am I mentioning that? Notice that those numbers kept going up for Onyeka Okongwu as the game went on.
That's a good point.
He had a healthy amount of minutes last night. So it takes mental fortitude to be able to come back on a back-to-back and be able to continue to elevate your play, even though your body may not be allowing it. To me, that was the most impressive thing. The mindset that allowed the Hawks to not only win on a back-to-back, but for us now to be talking about the fact that, hey, you won the road trip. Like, you're not even at a point where you're going 500. No, you won the road trip because you've already won 3 out of the 4 games of your road trip. And then you look at the fact that they've now won 4 straight. They've won 5 out of the last 6. Winning mindset is what I saw.
You know what? I think that what you just mentioned is much better than I can say from any point for the rest of the night, for the rest of the week, for the rest of the season, because it was just spot on. It is the mindset. It is the approach of this team, not getting down in the dumps about who's not playing.
Yep.
It seems so cliche in sports that you could just easily always, say next man up, right? Because that's just the cool thing to say. But when you literally have guys going out there and putting it all out on the line, they're out there having fun, by the way, which is something you're taught to do very early on in your youth. And they just look like that they have a chemistry amongst one another. And the basket is just looking bigger and bigger every single night. By the way, on the road, why are we still having conversations about this team doing things on the road even more impressively? Because you have to only imagine that at home things will eventually get better and it'll all come together for this team. So again, remember, some of the starters, and then this is with a lot of the guys that are coming out, being utilized in the rotation, coming off the bench, part of the bench mob that is doing this. Onyeka Okongwu is not a regular everyday starter. Zachary Reese-Sachet is supposed to have a much bigger role in this part of this season this year, and he has not been having a great last few games. Dyson Daniels scored 2 points, for crying out loud. So it's the combination of all of the guys that just clearly have each other's backs, and I think that this is just another reflection of that.
Indeed it is. So the turning point once again was the fact that this team found a way to gut it out and did it at both ends of the court. This episode of our Locked on Hawks postcast is brought to you by Wayfair. The holiday season is right around the corner, and that means it's time to get your home ready. Whether you need more seating for guests, cozy new linens, or fun serveware for holiday hosting, Wayfair's Black Friday sale is here to help you make your space shine. And the best part, you don't have to wait. Wayfair's Black Friday deals are happening all month long with up to 70% off everything from sofas to spatulas. In fact, you can upgrade anything. I mean, how many of us need an upgrade around the house? You can do it with Wayfair, and it'll completely transform your space. And there's fast everything shipping just in time for the holidays. And if you browse through the site, you'll find that it's easy to see pieces that actually fit your style. Nothing generic, just quality designs that feel personal. And if you've ever hosted family for the holidays, which I have, you know how much a difference just a few new touches can make, and Wayfair makes that easy. So don't miss out on early Black Friday deals. Head to wayfair.com to shop Wayfair's Black Friday sale for up to 70% off. That's WAYFAIR.com. Sale ends December 7th. This episode of our Hawks postcast is brought to you by Built. Nobody likes paying rent, but if you must, you might as well get something for it. That's where Built comes in. Built is changing the game by turning your rent payment into real rewards you can actually use. When you pay rent through Built, you earn flexible points that can be redeemed toward hundreds of hotels and airlines, a future rent payment, your next Lyft ride, and more. But Built isn't just about rent. It's about rewarding you around your entire neighborhood. Now, you're going to love Built because your rent finally works for you. I mean, you're earning points every month on something you already have to pay. And whether you're grabbing food at a local restaurant or heading to the gym, it's still earning rewards. And get this, Built has made everyday life feel more rewarding, from your neighborhood to your travel plans. So turn your rent into rewards and start earning points around your neighborhood by going to joinbuilt.com/lockedonnba. That's JOINBILT.com/LockedOnNBA. Make sure to use that link so they know we sent you. This episode of our Hawks postcast is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel's giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel. Again, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. And you can keep every game exciting when your team makes that late push. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. So we appreciate you guys, as always, our everydayers, for making the Hawks postcast your first listen of the day. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Now, the Hawks had commanded this game for the most part until that 20-5 run in the third quarter put a win in doubt. Utah Jazz went on a tear, and it seemed like, hey, what's going on with the Hawks? Maybe those legs are getting tired. But then the Hawks offense reestablished itself, and that was the turning point.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
So yeah, DeShaun, after the Hawks seemed like they were firmly in command of this game. I mean, when we look at what the Hawks were able to do in outscoring the Jazz in the first quarter, outscoring them in the second quarter, even having a lead as large as 18 points, then all of a sudden the third quarter happens. Utah outscores Atlanta 36-23, and you take it into the fourth quarter and it's all knotted up, and you're kind of wondering, oh boy, the Hawks are on the second night of a back-to-back. This may not go well. But the Hawks really turned it around very, very quickly, started to find their shot again, started to really play two-way ball, and we saw them really wrest that game back. And to me, although the Hawks really didn't take command until about 3 minutes in with like an 8-0 run to kind of seal it, I still felt like what I saw in the beginning of the fourth quarter convinced me that the Hawks were going to be fine and they're going to walk away with a W.
I agree with that. And you know what? That's what teams do when you're in position that the Hawks are in, and when you have things that the Utah Jazz just honestly do not have. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that I was the most impressed with the Hawks defense on tonight. I think that a lot of it was just due to the fact that Utah didn't have great defense themselves. I did a couple different minor, miscues on that end, and the Hawks were able to capitalize. And just the three ball was falling, so inevitably you're going to have one more point that you're exchanging for Utah's twos. But I think it says something about the resiliency to be able to come back, number one, from the 20-5 run that the Hawks were able to come back and recover and recuperate from. It's impressive. But I think even more so on top of that is having that ability to be able to rebound the basketball. And a lot of times on the offensive side of the glass, where you're trying to make that comeback for the shots because so many shots were definitely going in, but even for the ones that weren't, there were definitely more than enough instances where you saw the Atlanta Hawks take advantage of cleaning the glass on the offensive side of the ball. And I think that was something that was obviously very important. You know how I feel about offensive rebounds already as is. And that puts, Utah in a situation where it's kind of frustrating because you almost have to pick your poison, because you either have to send guys at the glass or you have to send somebody to go close out on shooters because they're not missing anything. So I think it's a combination of so many different things. But that's just the beauty of the offense that the Atlanta Hawks run, because they also have multiple different primary ball handlers that can get to the basket. They can get out in transition. They can set you up in half-court offense, swing the ball around, and make the defense very exhausted and be able to hit the three, or hesitate on the with a pump fake on a three-point shot, take a couple dribbles in and throw the lob to somebody that's wide open. And I think that that's what ultimately leaves holes open in the defense, preventing you from really being able to get your offense going because you just continue to get scored on the opposite end.
Yeah. And I tell you, I think the other piece that there, and I kind of want to go back to some of the comments because I think there were some interesting comments as well. So not so much a turning point, but just giving us an opportunity as we wrap up to kind of address some of the comments from our everydayers, and just talking about the fact that another reason you win this game is because when you have a guy like Jalen Johnson be on fire the entirety of the night, finishing with more minutes tonight, 41 minutes, but finishing with 31 points, finishing with his triple-double on the strength of 18 rebounds and 14 assists to go along with 7 steals. I mean, the stat line is ridiculous.
First in history, by the way, Tenitra. First ever in NBA history.
Yeah, that is a crazy stat line. And then to think that this dude made 4 or 5 from 3, to think that he was 10 of 19 from the field. I mean, just an absolutely monster game. And it goes to say that when you think about it, and I will tell you, and I just have to say it because every night we hear it and every night we have to refute it on some level. I'm not about to sit here and talk about whether or not the team is better with Trae or not. Yeah. I'm not going to talk about whether or not the team should trade Trae. What I will talk about is what we said earlier. These guys are playing with the players that are suiting up. So I'm going to talk about the players who are suiting up and the things that they're able to do, like Jalen, Johnson, when he gets a rebound and he, pays that back, gets a rebound from Mogay and pays it back with an assist. That's nice because sometimes that goes to, hey, I got a good shot, but I'm going to get mine. But I see that you could have a better shot, so I'm going to go ahead and give that to you. Or when we look down the stat line and we see some crazy stats like Onyeka Okongwu out here making 8 of 14 threes.
I know.
This is a big man.
I know, Tenitra, I'm almost at a point when I'm seeing these things happen. I'm like, I better get my life right with the Lord if I haven't already, because he about to make a return on me in a minute. I mean, I don't know if this is I don't know if this is the time to go play some lottery numbers. I don't even know what the mega ball, mega million, power million, whatever I don't know what it is, but it seems like tonight is the perfect night to try and go play it.
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of extra things just going on. And the thing of it is too, like when you look at the fact that this team is also winning a West Coast road trip where every night they're in a different time zone. Like I have to look at our stat, like one night a game started at 11, 10, 9. It's like, dang, like give them so much credit for that, because it takes a lot out of you to be able to like reset your head to do that. And even like a Dyson Daniels, I'm going to go in the different direction, because you may look at his final stat line and you may say, wow, 2 points, very, very unimpressive. You may say 3 assists and 2 rebounds, not exactly impressive. But here's the thing. When you've got a guy like Dyson Daniels who is trying to play in a space like running point that is not necessarily his complete and total comfort zone, and he's doing at least a lot of work that doesn't show up in the stat line.
That's right.
I think that's important to note as well. But DeShaun, I want to give you a final opportunity for a thought on a great all-around effort from this team.
No, I just enjoy it. I know there's another game that's going to be coming up soon. Hopefully, we're talking about going unbeaten in the tougher, as they always been calling it for so long, conference in the NBA. And I don't care who that is; those are professional basketball teams and basketball players over there. And so I commend them. I commend them for what they're doing. Again, I'll say it again. I think that the worst part of the Atlanta Hawks for the season that we've seen, barring injuries, God forbid, is behind us at this point. I feel pretty confident in saying that, and I only see them improving and progressing and growing as a team, establishing chemistry amongst one another. I'm really excited for what the remainder of the season is going to reflect and show.
The Hawks Postcast is the #1 place to hang out after every game. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So remember to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And for more on the Hawks, head over to Locked On Hawks with our guy, Brad Rowland. We'll see you next time.